It's the second race of the Portland E-Prix here in the United States of America for round 14 of the 10th season of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. Qualifying's a few moments away. Let's over to Radzi, who's talking with the Jaguar team principal.
Team Championship and the Manufacturers Championship as well. It's far-reaching, this.
Correct, and that's why I think a decision of that magnitude shouldn't be made really quickly. It should be allowed proper consideration, proper evidence, and proper perspectives from both drivers involved. But obviously, when that decision's made in race, it absolutely affects your race strategy, right? Because now you're having to determine what you're going to do, and that's a penalty in its own right to throw that curveball in the middle of a race. Again, with a race with such big championship consequences. So. Yes, like I said, we have to, at the end of the day, as sports people, you have to respect the ultimate decision. But there's a route in the regulations to allow us to ask for review, and it'd be wrong of us not to at least ask that to be reconsidered given the consequences.
James, if you were an option for the next general election, I'd have voted for you, my friend.
Thanks, Razzie. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, nice touch there from Radzi. And fair play to James Barkley as well, coming out and talking after what was a really tough day for Jaguar as a whole. But on the subject of kind of appeals, you know, let's talk about that a bit, actually, Alan. Kind of where do you stand on it? Because, you know, they're clearly going to be doing something, it sounds like, Jaguar.
Well, first of all, you cannot appeal that particular decision. A 5-second or a 10-second penalty or a drive-through penalty during a race, it's not appealable. So therefore, it is the right of review.
Okay.
And that is a different process. Personally, I think that what James said there was actually very good. It was we want to understand and we want to actually improve the process. And so I would suspect that they will follow that through with the stewards. The stewards are very experienced. They've sit in Formula E for a long period of time. But I have to say, on their side, it's very, very difficult to be able to try to navigate it because no two incidents are the same. Yeah. And the drivers and the teams have also been pushing for harsher penalties for driving incidents. So again, in that difficult situation. But they will go through this process. I don't think the situation will change. And I think he's best now to say, right, OK, that's yesterday. Let's get on with today.
Right, that was brilliantly explained. Thank you very much for your time, Alan. Well, let's head to our commentary team now. Alan will be there, Tom Brooks will be there, and Billy Monger will be there.
All set to go here in Portland for round 14 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. It is qualifying ahead of today's E-Prix, and a load of drama and action is expected. What exactly are we going to be seeing? Well, Group A has Nick Cassidy and Mitch Evans, the two Jaguars who this morning topped the practice session. Evans and Cassidy. Then it'll be Verne, followed by Gunther, Hughes, Freins, Muller, Boemi, Ticktum, Jaruvula and de Grassi heading out there on the circuit. We'll go through Group B later on in the session, but right now we're all set for what is hopefully going to be an energetic session. 12 minutes on the clock. Teams Championship. Jaguar could clinch it today. 307 points to Tag Heuer Porsche's 252. DS Penske on 171. Andretti is on 161. Nissan 157. Neil McLaren 95 as well on the top 8 running orders. Green light goes on then, and we're underway for qualifying here in Portland, and the cars venture out onto the circuit, and let's see what they've got to offer. This is going to be a very tight, important session. So we've got the blog open as well with all the information and data charts as well for you at home to keep all your eyes upon. And hello to everyone listening in on the Grid Network for our qualifying session. Ed Hunter will join me later on in the commentary box for the E-Prix. And we're going to be in for a very entertaining race day. Joe Samaniego and Nicole Fryer trackside will get their thoughts on what happened in yesterday's race and their qualifying analysis, as well as what happened on the grid. So we'll have loads of information in our pre-race show build-up. You can join us for that as well later on today on JBMotorsports and later on tonight on the Grid Network channel. James Barkley putting in his earpiece with his headset microphone, giving us a smile and a wave. Teams Championship then to Maserati on 77, Envision on 67 points as well. 7th and 8th in the standings, just to confirm that to you as well. So the only two cars left in the pit lane at the moment are those two Jaguars. The virtual race engineer signalling that the ideal qualifying strategy is out, prep, push, push. So a double push lap is what they are suggesting to come through as well. Also, do forgive me, the England game's on in the Euros, and I've got it on my phone. Just take a look at the side there as well. So keeping my eye on that across the board, but eyes very much on motorsport to try and save it. One interesting Formula 1 race we had earlier on as well. Definitely proved to be a Grand Prix, didn't it? MotoGP. It was an okay race. Yeah, Dorna got in the way again, but we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we can find a way around all this drama. On board now with Sebastian Buemi as it comes into turns 2 and 3. Holding and pushing again, just as we like to see. Buemi's first sector's a 27.337. Fastest first sector then goes to Degrassi, 27.272. So the lap time's beginning to close in and beginning to get a little bit faster out there. Nobody's in a hurry to say, oh, this is going to be this is going to be that. They're all just keeping it nice and controlled, I want to say. Cool, calm, collected, cool, calm, controlled is what I like also out there. But Buemi and Frines on the lap times now. They're about 2 seconds behind each other. Into the last corner for Sebastian Buemi. And here we are, first qualifier here in Portland for round 14, and it's a 1:10.529. Frines across the line, goes 1:10.361. So again, changes paces. Degrassi, Jaruvula improves. Degrassi improving too. Here's Evans' radio.
Starting with out, prep, double push.
Virtual Race Engineer was clearly correct. They predicted out, build, push, push. So out, prep, push, push. They predicted it and they got it right. So well done to our Virtual Race Engineer team who know their onions out there at the circuit. This is Muller in the Alps getting through turn 11, 12, doing exactly what we saw Cassidy and so many others do today. Just straight off the track at turn 12 over to the drag racing layout. Just gets caught in the curb and it sends you off. There's a reason there's a curb there to try and slow you down. It's almost like the alternative racing line at this circuit. And it does cause problems. It really, really does. Coming out then, across the grass and continues on. Frines goes top. Yeah, the alternative layout here looks actually quite fun. I wish IndyCar used it. But they use the same layout as we do in IndyCar. As we do in IndyCar and we do in Formula E. Across the last corner then. And let's have a look at Jean-Eric Verne, 6th fastest at the moment. Takes across the line and goes up to 2nd on a 1:09.887, but that puts Degrassi, Gunther, Hughes, Muller, Tictum all in the drop zone, and they're still building on lap times. Someone's got straight on there. Who's down that first corner? Well, I think it was Tictum actually, who's just straight line the chicane. Not following the race director's instructions will get him a penalty in this session as well. You've got to follow race director's instructions. So once again then, just having some runs around on the inside line. Evans going to push through. Here's Cassidy's radio.
And double push, pace is currently at 9.6 Frins.
Everyone's sounding a bit cool and calm out there today. No one's having some adjustments or anything. So yeah, not too bad a strategy. Yeah, it's a double build lap then. It looks like going mega fast here from Castillo Evans. They're going very, very slow. In fact, as many others come back into the pit lane to end their first runs on this session. 6:48 left on the clock. And the two Jaguars doing absolutely nothing. It's just a build lap for them. So out lap, build, double push. So they're going to push when everyone else is in the pits, when they've got a clear track and they can use themselves as leverage and to really attack forward as well. It's going to be exciting to see, to be fair. It's on my money, on my bucket list. I want to see how it goes. So Frines, Verne, Buemi, Muller, Tictum, Hughes, Jaruvula, Degrassi, Gunther, Cassidy and Evans all across that line as well. Across the line comes Evans. He's first across and he goes 10th. And Cassidy replaces that position. Yeah, not going to change. Oh, Cassidy goes 4th. 1:09.918. That's a build lap for him. He's going massive as James Barkley sees himself on the television after staring directly at it for a while. The teams have their garage monitors a few seconds behind the world feed. We see it before they do, in order so that we get their live reactions there. They're not going to be filmed on camera. Interesting situations developing now. Team principals having these earbuds are a bit interesting, but apps, yeah, even they've got them as well. So everyone's now on a double push lap. See if that makes a difference. This is Jake Hughes in the McLaren down into turn 10, 11 and 12. And he's cut the corner as well. Looking not to get sent off straight to the barrier like Sasha Fenestraz in practice on FP2 Saturday morning. But just keeping it calm, flying through. Evans is sector 1 and 2. It's a personal best, so Cassidy's 4th. He's on a double push lap. Let's see what Evans can do then as he begins his lap time. Takes the check, takes his effective line and goes 7th. So still 3/10 down. Cassidy stays in 4th position as well, and now they're lifting. So Cassidy's done his job, but Evans hasn't. He's going to continue pushing. Evans' first sector is, I think, down on the overall best. So is it 30.9, so that's out of it there too. Let's check in then with the world feed, see what they're saying about qualifying.
Good to say, right, put a line in the sand. That's what it is. Now we've got to go again. He did still pull out 8th. He still pulled out pole. He still got fastest lap. And as much as I know the trophy's not going to be sitting on his mantelpiece, it was still a very, very strong weekend by Mitch Evans. The thing that has been the turning point is that could have swung his championship challenge away.
But what won't help and what will add to the mental woes of Mitch Evans, the pace that he's set so far, he's down in 7th. He's not close. He's about a 10th away from his teammate Nick Cassidy. We're talking small margins in Formula E, but he needs to deliver. There's going to be pressure on this second run now.
It's interesting on the different run plans you can see here between the different drivers as well, because you've got Vern Muller and Tictum all in the pits. They're sort of waiting for a last gasp attempt to go out onto the track. The problem that creates, though, Billy, is if you see another driver ending up in the barrier or they create a yellow flag and you've only got one flying lap, then that can completely ruin your run and your opportunity to get to the duels.
Yeah, you have to put a lot of faith in other drivers, making sure, like you say, there's no yellow flags, no people having moments which disrupts your run plan. That's why someone like a Robin Fryans, who's got that banker lap in, he can now be a little bit, there's less pressure on his shoulders, that if something happens in this later stages of group qualifying, he'll be there and he knows he's set a lap good enough to get him through already.
One interesting point Saunders has brought up is that the Jaguar customer team actually could be partly determining whether the Jaguar team get through into the next section of the duels, because right now we've got Frins but also Buemi in there, and that effectively is going to put Cassidy right on the bubble, as you mentioned, but also it's going to be a bit of a tougher run for Mitch Evans. But knowing the way they run this, even although they're running the same powertrain, they actually allow them to compete and have to allow them to compete without any sort of team structured orders.
Personal best sector times coming in here. Mitch Evans, personal best for him in the first sector. Dropped a bit of time in the second sector. It should be an improvement, though, for the Kiwi as he comes to the timing line. Goes up the third quickest and makes his way into the duels as it stands for now. But 2 minutes left to go as Cassidy then improves, puts his teammate on to the bubble. James Barkley here watching on.
Yep, so we've still got 2:16 to go, and the field just continuing to close up. Let's have Fryans in on his lap, 1.8 seconds out, but now he's on a push lap, so the final lap's beginning now. Double push would be the call from everybody. The tyres can handle it. You just need to stay strong and get out there and see what you can build up. 2 minutes to go in this session. So right up towards the line. What about the DHL banners alternating between that and the clock? So you can tell who's advertising this race, can't you? Formula E race here. Nice idea to put the timer on the actual LED screen. F1 should do something similar. It's the braking zone we come. So 1:26 to go. We're watching Robin Fryans with a wonderful aerial view of the paddock right now. That's because everyone's building up to their last laps of this group stage of qualifying. No one is in a hurry to get go, go, go. Half time in the Euro match. England losing 1-0. That's not great news. evening to PS. Hello, Lou. Hello, Omi. All watching in. Reminder that we've got the NASCAR coming up, USRN, taking you through that one later on. That's at 8:30. 9:30, our coverage of the Formula E from Portland starts. Moto E, Moto 3 and Moto 2 won't be on tomorrow. We're going to take a few days off and get all the sort of stuff sorted with Dorna. So we'll probably have those midweek. And we'll figure out what we're doing about the German Grand Prix when we come to it as well. Because right now, we're not talking about MotoGP again. Third time in 6 months, honestly, it's a joke. Cassidy set the fastest first sector of anyone watching this on Grid Network, by the way. Hello. Make sure to subscribe to the Grid Network and give your appreciation to Joe and Nicole here are trackside. The links to being a supporter of the channel are down below here on the Grid Network channel. Checker flag coming out then. On board with Mitch Evans. 58 seconds at the moment. Cassidy setting red deltas. He's matched his second sector time. He's P2 at the moment. Evans needs to get through here. He can't afford to be out, especially after yesterday. Does Evans make it through as he takes the checkered flag? Evans goes fourth. That kicks out Hughes. Cassidy is second at the moment with Frines on top. Cassidy stays second. 72 thousandths off the pace. Verne goes second. Evans is out. Mitch Evans is out of the duels. Cross the line. Jaruvula in fourth. Cassidy third. Muller seventh. Gunther's on a lap time. Hughes kicks out Jaruvula. Jake Hughes goes back to fourth position to make it through to the duels again. Comes across the line. Gunther doesn't improve. Stays out. Degrassi doesn't improve. Tinkton doesn't improve. It's all down to Sebastian Buemi, who's in the pit lane. And that's it. Frines, Verne, Cassidy, Hughes go through. And out, Jaruvula, Evans, out goes, I'm going to have to take a photo of this to actually get it on answer. Here we go. So Frines, Verne, Cassidy, Hughes go through. Jaruvula, Evans, Muller, Buemi, Tinkton, Degrassi, Gunther out of the session. To the world feed. I'm Evans' radio.
I don't know. I got away wrong. It's half a tenth to the cutoff to before.
Incredibly tight margins here in Formula E. Mitch Evans, the big shock, out of qualifying in the group stages.
Definitely a bizarre session, that one. Didn't expect that coming through. So it was Frines on a 109.665. Verne on a 109.677. Cassidy, 109.737. So there were some times there. Buemi is under investigation for a technical infraction. So Sebastian Buemi might not have the times he needs to go through. Well, he's already starting 7th, but that could be, well, 8th actually. Buemi could be right at the back of the field. So stay tuned for that one to see where it could turn up. Session getting loaded in now. Ready for Group B to load in. And we will go from there as to what this session could bring. And exactly how fun it could be as well. This is what I'm looking forward to for the Portland Prix. Just trying to refresh it all because the blog's gone funny over here on the session chart. There we go. So, again, a bit of a shocker there as we get ready for Group B. No, we want that blog out. Come on. The animation's not really working for us there. Group B coming your way shortly. And Buemi abort his lap, yeah, says Lou. And he's under investigation for a technical infraction as well. So Frines, Verne in second, Cassidy. And then we go to Hughes as well, taking 4th position. So I wonder what we're going to get when the action begins for the next session. Group B will take part with Verline, Dennis, DaCosta, Van Dorn, Bird, Nato, Fenestraz, Mortara, City Kamara, De Vries, and Kyle Collette, who will be in last position but could make it through to the duels. Hey, stranger things have happened. Especially in a start this early to the season, stranger things have happened. So we'll wait to see. And fingers crossed that we're going to be in for a nice run around shortly as we wait to hand back over to the world feed. They're taking their time on this one. Here they come now. So we'll head back over to Tom Brooks and hear the latest from all the information trackside before we get ready for Group B and their 12-minute session to head out before we go in then with the quarter-finals. Let's head back over to the World Feed now.
Cracking qualifying performance from Jehan Daruvla, 0.003 of a second though, denying him the possibility of getting into the duels.
Where did he pull that qualifying out? Especially Sector 1. He suddenly lit up Sector 1 as a purple sector. And that's actually the one that is super difficult because it's long combined corners. And I wouldn't have said the Maserati was strong yesterday, so certainly he's pulled something out of the bag over now.
Yeah, he's really managed to pick a good sector out there, and that set up his lap nicely when you compare it to his teammate who was last in that Group A.
Group B then, Pascal Wehrlein, Jake Dennis, Antonio Felix da Costa, Stoffel Van Dorn, Sam Bird, Norman Nato, Sacha Fenestraz, Eduardo Mortara, Sergio Sette Camara, Nick de Vries and Caio Collet, the rookie, making his debut replacing Oliver Rowland here this weekend. This is going to be a bit of a tricky one to call. Da Costa, we know he's pretty handy. We know that Van Dorn on his day can pull something out of the bag.
What, you mean Da Costa's pretty handy? Winner of the last 3 out of 4 races.
I like to keep it nice and understated, Alan. Don't know about you. Anyway, green light is on at the end of pit lane. Group B qualifying, a 12-minute session about to get underway as the cars filter out onto the track in a bit of a Noah's Ark formation. The 2 Porsches leading the 2 Andrettis. You've also got the 2 Nissans of Fenestraz and Collet in this one as well.
Yeah, Sam Bird sitting off the back there.
Fresh off the back of the top 10 result and his first points in a short while, actually, after missing a few rounds. Here is Jake Hughes, his teammate. We just saw him progressing forwards into the duels by the skin of his teeth. 0.003 of a second quicker than Jehan Daruvla.
It's so hard to explain what 0.003 of a second looks like. It's next to nothing.
Yeah, it's so tight. So let's have a look and see what's going to happen in this session. We've got the 2 Andrettis out on track at the moment. Jake Dennis, he's not had the best of weekends so far, to keep it pretty light, actually, in terms of his qualifying performance. In fact, the best of seasons, I think it's fair to say, really.
Well, last year he was dominant. It was a very, very strong run in the championship and everything worked for him. And this year it's sort of not quite clicked into place. They struggled a little bit, I think, with the upgrades on the car over the winter. And now they've kind of got it sorted out. But it's Norman Nato, his teammate, who is fighting for his seat, but also is the one that seems to have, I would say, just more of a connection with this circuit and the car on this circuit at the moment.
Yeah, he's been great, Norman has, since the start of the weekend. I got a couple of laps in with the safety car with him on Friday, and he just seemed really cool, calm, collected. I mean, I think that is the nature of the driver and the man himself, but I think with the circuit we've got here, long apex corners, you need to have that flowy nature to your driving. You don't want to be stabbing at the wheel through the first sector in particular.
And this is the first sector now, as we see Da Costa coming down into it. Yesterday's winner already somebody wide at turn 1.
This is what I was wondering about, actually, in terms of the session as well. You know, sector 1, we've got really a lot of cars out on track in a very confined sort of area, and you can see them all very close to one another, and there's a good possibility they may hit a bit of traffic in the latter stages of this session. So something worth keeping an eye on. It looks like a bit of a car park down there at the first couple of corners. Billy, do you think that this first sector is going to be where the lap time is lost or won?
Well, it's so hard to say, Tom, because the margins are so tight across the whole lap. It seems like a couple of tenths, you know, separating 9 drivers in the first Group A of qualifying, but judging it from yesterday, yes, the first sector is where the driver can have more of an influence, I'd go as far as saying.
I would actually also put it maybe slightly differently. The first sector's where you could lose the lap, because actually it's very tricky and it's quite easy to get an oversteer as you're turning into that sort of 4, and then as it tightens up into 5, as we see Da Costa.
Yeah, Da Costa getting a lap time on the board. Now his first lap time has been completed. Why is that blog showing that? Honestly, you try and refresh these things and they never want to work for you. It's quite a difficult thing, the amount of blogs we have to run on these. Can't cheat it either by having a different URL. It tells. This is Da Costa going wide at turn 1.
Here's Da Costa.
Oh, he jumped on the curbs.
And Da Costa there going over the curb, just going in, missing the apex, and then bouncing right over the middle of the car.
And it cut out the electric. You can see the TV camera got a knock-on effect there as well. So they are having problems. Laps 6 to 9 deleted for Sebastian Buemi due to a technical infraction. So Buemi has been disqualified from that group. Just writing that down in my notes. So Buemi is not 8th. Buemi will start this race at least on the back row, whether it be, well, it has to be 22nd, doesn't it? So Buemi's going to be right at the back. Michael Andretti watches on, and his other car is off the track. Nato's off the track. Nato was off the circuit there as Dennis went through. So Nato went wide coming out of turn 12 and saw that. Dennis only goes 5th as a result. De Vries 5th. Mortara 6th. They all got caught out by that flag. Wow. So a little bit tetchy. They will control that manoeuvre again and just hold it still. But Verline, Fenestras, Van Dorn, Da Costa, Cole coming in. By the way, it shouldn't take an hour and 30 minutes to do this qualifying session. It's longer than the race. It's not on. We've already been on for 27 minutes. This is longer than yesterday's race. So Nato going off also dragged off Fenestras. Interesting. Or was it said, which one was it? Nato went off and, yeah, brought off Fenestras. Interesting. They both went off together. Yeah. You don't see that often. Stint saying, come on, Nick Canedo. Well, De Vries is in 6th. And Eduardo Mortara is 8th. But they're improving. They're their first lap times. Their second laps are coming now. But half the field back into the pit lane, I think we're going to see, slow laps. Van Dorn 27.0. Well, actually, Van Dorn might be on a fast lap here. We just can't tell. Jake Dennis on the same similar ones. No, they're on slow down laps as well. So into that first group, sort of low. I'll hand back over to the world feed.
We fought a super competitive group in terms of the personnel in that part of qualifying. A 109.6 was the fastest. A couple attempts was down in 9th in that group. Basically, 9th place in Group A was faster than any of the lap times we've seen in this part of qualifying, so I'd still expect the times to come down.
Yeah. And it was a 9.6 in the first part of Group A that Robin Frins had done, which was ultimately the quickest time.
So we can hear it stop Van Dorn as he comes back into the pit lane then. Jake Dennis will likely be following him back into the box as well to get ready for his second and final run in this session. 5 minutes left on the clock here.
And everybody now is in the pit lane. There's not one car on circuit, but that will be turning quickly. There you can see the grass being dragged out of Norman Nato's car.
Yeah, he's done a good job of mowing the lawn here for Portland, so that'll save them a few quid. As we look at Dennis coming back into the box as well. Easy way to distinguish between those two drivers, by the way. White halo for Jake Dennis, black halo for Norman Nato. Special livery on the car here this weekend as well. Stars and Stripes, of course, home race for Andretti.
You've got to be fairly happy for Jake Dennis right now, considering the form that he's had around Portland, especially yesterday. He didn't have any pace in that car, but he's currently getting through into the duels. So, promising start to the day for him. I expect the order to change quite significantly in the next run, but it suggests that he might have a little bit more to show than yesterday.
Another person, Pascal Verline, sitting there in third place, admittedly a 10th and a bit off pole position so far. It's Van Dorn. But Verline, at least as we stand at the moment, should be progressing through.
Taco Porsche need a stronger end to the weekend here as well, with both drivers ideally on the podium to keep their team's championship hopes alive. 55 points the advantage that Jaguar has over them at the moment. Essentially, you've got 94 points available on offer in London, so they need to finish 95 points ahead at the end of this weekend in order to be crowned the team's champions. It's a long shot for it to be done, but anything can happen in Formula E, as we well know.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily sitting on the driver's minds at all. It will be on James Barclay's mind, and it will be on Florian Modlinger's. But from a driver's perspective, they're looking to try and maximise everything that they can for their own personal championship chances.
Interesting, looking at the virtual race engineer there, a 109.8 needed to reach the duels, it's saying, which means everyone needs to go faster.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, you can see it's now a flurry of activity out on track with 3 minutes remaining. They'll be trying to find space. We heard Scott Elkins, race director, talking to the drivers yesterday, and it almost sounded like a disappointed dad.
The McLaren behind is going to build next lap. We expect cars around to build next lap.
Well, let them know that I'm pushing.
So just explaining what's going on there for Fenestraz. So he's on a bit of a different run plan. He's decided to go and get that banker lap time in because, as I mentioned earlier on, there's a possibility that you could get a yellow flag at the end of this session. And if Fenestraz has got that banker lap time in already, it keeps him safe.
Yeah, but the worrying thing for me is he's got traffic coming up ahead of him. So if you're looking to be different on your strategy, you don't want to be in a position where you're compromised by 3 cars up ahead. Yeah, especially now coming into the corner section where it's, even if they move out of the way, you actually have just got your eyes sort of caught up against them.
Yeah, not the easiest set of circumstances for Fenestraz to negotiate here. He's got Sam Bird just up in front of him in the neon McLaren, and you can see it's costing him time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. His first sector is nowhere.
Yeah, making his way through. So Fenestraz then just going to try and build it up. You can see where it funnels down. This is where we saw contact between Hughes and Evans in the race yesterday, which is what gave Hughes a puncher and Evans a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, it was an annoying penalty as well because it changed the race result. Cassidy going off the circuit as well in a spinning moment. So, again, crucial moments here in Portland have decided the championship fates, and I suppose that's one thing we like about it. Across the line then comes Sasha Fenestraz, and his opening second gambit time puts him in 4th position still, not improving his overall deltas. Da Costa, fastest of all! Fastest 3rd sector of anyone. It's a 109.758 as off the track goes... it was Nate off the circuit being dragged off as well, followed by Carl Collette. So it's Collette who also went off the circuit at the same time. Interesting deltas there then on the circuit. That's what turned out to be happening. Into between De Vries and Nato has been noted by the stewards as well. This is De Vries. Nato's come back on the track and he's blocked De Vries. So accidentally, Nato's blocked De Vries, and that was earlier on in this session. So it's under it's noted by the stewards. It has not under investigation. It's just been noted for now. Nato's fastest in the 1st sector. That could be a grid penalty for impeding in qualifying as well. So it's not all out of positioning at the moment as they come across the line. Van Dorn in 2nd. Not improving. What about Nato? To a fault only. Nato lost 2/10 in the last sector. De Vries goes 3rd. Nato's out. Dennis at risk as well. Bird goes 7th. Seti Kamara goes in 9th. Carl Collette Collette goes 8th. He outqualifies his teammate. And Mortara goes 5th. Carl Collette outqualifies his own teammate of Sasha Fenestraz. That's amazing from Collette. We'll keep that in through turn 1 and 2. So it's race winner yesterday, Antonio Felix da Costa, who is currently top here at the top of Group B. Checkered flags out. Final lap for him. It's going to be Stoffel Van Dorn who'll be the first to take the flag at that section. So through we go. Da Costa flying through. Is Dennis off? Dennis is stationary on my driver tracker. Has Dennis gone off the track at the last corner? He's moving now. Dennis is off the track. Dennis is off the track. He's gone off at the same part. It looks like the car's come to a stop. That's going to bring out a yellow flag. Van Dorn 2nd. Nato 6th. De Vries goes 2nd. He locks himself through. Fenestraz goes through. Ahead of Dennis. Bird's through. Fenestraz is out. Seti Kamara goes in 6th position as well. Da Costa's going to take it through with absolute ease. Mortara does it. He's in 5th. Dennis, we know, is out. Nato out too. Verline could be out. Dennis in the pit lane. Is Verline out? That's going to be the question as he comes across the line. Verline through, Van Dorn out. Wow. And England go 1-1. Well, things get tasty all over. Wow. What a session. Back to the point.
The cut. Yep, he did make the cut there. I think there's going to be probably a few people looking at the yellow flag because there's a flurry of drivers. Bird, De Vries, Van Dorn made their time up when we saw that Dennis was actually sitting on the grass, and normally there's a yellow flag at that point. However, that will have to be reviewed.
And Pascal P4, both cars through. Good job.
Yeah, phenomenal there from Antonio Felix da Costa and for Pascal Wehrlein. Pressure on both of them, their shoulders. Sam Bird and Nick de Vries also making it through in that session. Jake Dennis and Norman Nato, Andretti's home race, 9th and 10th they were classified at the checkered flag, which is not the way they would have wanted to have ended that session, especially here, Billy, for their home race.
Yeah, really a not ideal situation there, because Jake Dennis in the first run, sitting in second, it looked like have they had a turnaround in form, which they tended to do at doubleheaders in previous races.
Let's have a look through turn 11. Classic case. Loses the rear, just going over the curb, straight off onto the grass. Thankfully, there's a fair amount of runoff there, and he doesn't go into the wall. Let's have another look. So, gets a snap of oversteer through 10, carries it wide through 11, clatters the curb, and it kicks back the other way.
Yeah, slightly different incident to what we've seen at 10 and 11 earlier in this weekend.
Really improved in the yellows now. Didn't see any yellows there.
So I was saying that there was a possibility of the yellow flag coming out of this one, and I mentioned it right in the dying stage of that session.
You did. And
Race
England's
engineer
goal got disqualified.
Yeah, the incident obviously happened, but if the yellow flag wasn't out, that's where the technicality comes into it.
Devil's advocate, he was so far away from the circuit, was he out of harm's way?
Yeah, like I said, the incident that we just saw there with Jake is very different to where other drivers have ended up having a similar sort of incident at 10 and 11. So for me, I think those improvements will stand. The lap times in that second group, though, not faster than Group A. So as it stands, Robin Freins in the group stages of qualifying, he has the fastest time. He's carried that momentum that we saw yesterday. Porsche as a manufacturer getting 2 cars through into the duels, doing what Jaguar couldn't do in Group A.
So Group B qualifying then, Antonio Felix da Costa, Sam Bird, Nick de Vries and Pascal Wehrlein are the 4 drivers that go forward. Stoffel van Dorn does not, likewise Eden Mortara, Sasha Fenestraz, and crucially the 2 Andrettis, Jake Dennis, Norman Nato, not performing here this morning. They are out of qualifying. Kyle Collette down there in 11th place as well. Just 0.3 of a second separating 11 drivers, but certainly a slower group in Group B compared to Group A. It's all eyes though on the duels, the quarterfinals coming up here in a few moments' time in Portland.
Well, there we have it. Groups A and B have both gone out. Antonio Felix da Costa there continuing his form in Group B. We'll get into that into a minute. But yeah, just different day, and I expected something different with Mitch Evans in particular, but it just didn't quite happen for him in Group A, did it?
It's so small, the margins between getting it right and getting it wrong. You know, in that Group A, I think it was less than a tenth for the first 5 cars.
Yeah.
And you always get people improving overnight, so if you don't get it super spot on, then you are out. Now, we know for the championship, he wanted those 3 points. For the race, he's in a good position. I don't think there's a problem there, but it's just a little bit up in its end, which is a good thing.
Any surprises in there for you?
Honestly, Mitch being knocked out is, of course, a surprise. I think Nick getting through, bouncing back from yesterday has got to feel good for him, but it's exactly as Alan said, just such small margins, and these cars aren't that easy to dance on that sort of fine line on the limit, so the difference between getting it right and wrong, as Alan said, is so small.
Yeah, I've got to talk about Robin Freins as well. I heard you talking about he got his lap done early as well. Had a good race yesterday, and he's showing good form again today.
Yeah, he's you know, I think he's got his chest out, Robin. He felt good yesterday. The team felt a little bit better. They were more confident coming into this weekend. And ultimately, you know, he did a very good race yesterday. And right from the free practice this morning, he was at the front and then delivered it straight away. And that shows confidence to me. Yeah. If you can go out to the pits in qualifying, it not necessarily have to build it up. But if you can just deliver that time, then it takes the pressure off. Yeah. Because it's not like your last laps where you're really struggling and hoping, you know, there's no yellow flags, hoping you don't have traffic, and he controlled it.
He did indeed. Well, that's exactly what Robin Freins did, and he is, sorry, it's Sylvain Philippe is actually with Redzi, his team principal.
Vision Racing, Sylvain Philippe. Sylvain, first of all, once again, Robin Freins, all of a sudden, finding form at the business end of the season.
Yeah, we found a good setup. I mean, as you know, all this year, as I've been saying, it's been really tight. We've missed a tenth or two in quali the last few races, which last year would have been good for the duels, but this year is not. So, yeah, very competitive field. So we work really hard trying to find, yeah, little things here and there that basically get us that tenth or two, and ultimately makes the difference.
one lap time's one thing, but converting it to race, as he did yesterday, the first podium of the season, what does that do to the team?
Well, it feels good, you know. We are not, obviously we won the championship last year. And even when we didn't in previous years, we are used to be consistent and be on the podium a lot. So this drought of a few months without podium was pretty hard to take. So it's nice for the team to know that, you know, we still know how to do it. We have good process and systems in place. But as I keep saying, it's very competitive at the moment. So, you know, being there, everything has to align, but it makes it also very special.
It is special indeed. Hopefully the Jules will be special. Good luck today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Radzi. OK, stick with us. We've got the quarterfinals coming up, and we'll also have analysis of Group B coming up after this short break.
All set then, ready to go for the next part of qualifying. Do you know, I got back into the commentary box precisely the right time for that one. So let's go through then. It's going to be Cassidy and Verline. So it's Cassidy and Vernat next, but Mortar and Verline are noted for that incident. I haven't seen anything come through on our monitors just yet about any suspect changes on the list. So that's, I suppose, a bit of good news. Stint saying offside, still 1-0. Oh, I know, I saw. Yeah, I've just seen the replay of why it was offside as well via VAR graphics as well. Oh, for God's sake. Well, no, we don't. Well, to be fair, England don't deserve to win at this rate, but it's still hurtful to watch considering how good we've been in the past. Right, okay, back to the motorsport, what we're all here for. Frines from Vern, Cassidy, Hughes, they're the four going through from Group A. Not advancing was Deruvula, Evans, Muller, Tictum, Degrassi, Gunther, and then Buemi, who did finish 8th in that session but has since been disqualified for technical infraction. Group B going through, that's DaCosta, Bird, DeFries, Verline. They're going through to the Jules. Not going through, Van Dorn, Mortara, Fedestrad, Seta Kamara, Dennis, Nato, and Colette as well. So the first duel is going to be Cassidy versus Vern, who are second and third in the Group A stage of this one as well. So it'll be Cassidy out first, Vern out second. I wonder how that's going to turn out. Vern usually doesn't play well, does he? Been having a few difficulties on his overall runs in his segment. So we will keep a very close eye on this next session when we go through. Is it going to be a goal for England yet? That's all I want to know. We want a goal. Nothing yet. I know it's motorsport. We'll keep an eye on it. But right now, on ad break with no information as we get ready for the duels. So there isn't really a lot I can do to get ready for it. If you're watching us on Grid Network, welcome. Hello. We'll have the highlights as well from our sessions shortly. And in a minute, a pop back over to the said world feed and all the information from them. So I wonder who's going to progress. Let us know in the chat. Who do you think is going to go through, Cassidy or Vern? The predictor vote's going to be an interesting one as well when that eventually flies up. We've got the highlighter ready as well to see who's going to go through. And now we're going to head back over to the world feed as we're gearing up for the start of this session for the quarter-finals. Remember, we turn the wick up now to 350 kilowatts of power. Here's the world feed again.
Right, let's have a quick word on Group B before we go back to the quarterfinals. Jamie, Pascal Wehrlein, he left it right to the end, but he got the job done.
He did. A bit risky as well there. Obviously, we saw Jake Dennis going off, pulling out a yellow flag, and if you leave it to the very end, you leave yourself vulnerable. But he got it done, and yeah, that's kind of irrelevant now. He's into the duels, and that's got to be what he's focused on.
Well, Porsche will be absolutely delighted that he did make it to the duels. He's going to be facing his teammate, Antonio Felix da Costa, which makes it very interesting for Florian Modlinger.
Yeah, I know. At the end of the day, you know, you don't know which one you want to go through, but you've got the positive that you know you're definitely taking one of your drivers through into the next stage. You know, for Pascal, he needs to have a good race weekend, race today. He needs to actually get some big points to try to give himself a chance when he comes into London, because you do know that Cassidy already has got a 24-point gap, but also he's going to be super competitive today.
Yeah, and he already kind of got away with it yesterday, Pascal Wehrlein, so he'll be looking to do much better today. Quick word about turn 11, actually. It seems to be causing the drivers a few problems, Nato and Dennis in particular.
Yes, it is. Very fast chicane at the end of the lap. It's your last corner where you can really make a difference. You throw the car in. It's quite bumpy on the way in as well. It undulates a lot, so it destabilises the rear of the car, and you're on the absolute limit. And if you just get the line slightly wrong or clip the curb slightly wrong, it makes the car dance around underneath, and there's been quite a lot of people consistently going across the grass. I don't think, in fact, there's been a driver that's not been across the grass at some point through the weekend.
I was going to say that. I've never seen so many cars on the grass, but I'm guessing there's method to it, Jamie.
There is. I mean, that corner particularly, the marginal area you have to make speed corrections and things in the car is very small. So the window is small, and when you look at how close it is, you go into that set of corners and you think, okay, here I can make a difference, or I can make up some speed here, or you can lose a lot of speed. So you've got to go in a little bit like that. You've got to go in on the limit, and that's what's catching everyone out. But it does seem particularly tricky this weekend, which I've not seen in many other cars before.
It's all about just finding the limit, essentially, Alan.
Well,
if you find that limit, you get the advantage.
You've got two ways to find the limit. You build up from it, say 90, 92, 94, up to 100%. Or you can go the 104% and work back. In practice, you do the 104% to work back, because that's the quickest way to get to it. Here you can do it because it's a big open circuit with runoff. If we're in Monaco, you can't, because it's a wall. So therefore, people are actually pushing in different ways. It's a slightly different driving strategy. The critical thing is now they've got to nail it. They cannot afford that, because as you saw with Jake Dennis, then that's put him out of the next stage of qualifying.
Yeah, as we saw kind of the pressure builds from this moment, Jamie, you expecting anything different from yesterday, from certain individuals who maybe need it a little bit more?
I think what we saw yesterday was, whilst we kind of felt like it was going to be a pack race and qualifying wasn't necessarily going to be the be-all or end-all, it was still your obvious front runners from qualifying running at the front at the end of that race. So I think they're still going to really want to go out and get pole, and the confidence from getting that sort of result. And a track like this that is quite tricky to put a lap together, you're going to want to be able to do the best job possible, and sort of have it on your shoulders knowing that you've been the fastest around this track this weekend.
Quick one, you expecting more from Pascal?
Yes.
This time one?
Because ultimately he has to. No other option.
I agree. I totally agree. Well, let's see, shall we? The quarterfinals are about to start. So let's get you back to commentary with Tom Brooks.
Yeah, thank you very much, JJ. Looking forward to getting this one back underway then. Drivers ready to head out onto the track for the duels. Let's have a look at the duels ladder then. So, quarterfinals coming up first of all. Nick Cassidy versus Jean-Eric Vergne. Jake Hughes versus Robin Freins. Nick de Vries and Sam Bird. And then it's the two Tag Heuer Porsches, Pascal Wehrlein, Antonio Felix da Costa. Interesting point to note there, first of all. Wehrlein versus da Costa. Billy, surely we're going to see the team, I would imagine, acting in favour of Wehrlein, because he's the championship favourite. He's got a better opportunity to get those 3 points.
It almost feels like we're going to see a Nico Rosberg at Monaco qualifying moment from Antonio Felix da Costa, where he sort of wanders off the road down at turn 1 and goes, oh, my bad. Pascal Wehrlein goes through. It feels like it's going to be that sort of moment, because the points for the championship for Pascal Wehrlein, a track where he's struggled so far this weekend, they could be critical, those 3 points.
Certainly could be. Well, here is the championship leader, Nick Cassidy. You can see there 21 duels he has won so far, and very keen to see what he is going to be able to do. 24 points the advantage he has in the Drivers' Championship. So just to remind you, he can't sew it up here this weekend now. It will go down to the finale in London, which will set us up an absolute treat. What about this man, Jean-Eric Vergne, as well? He'll be going out alongside Nick Cassidy in a few moments' time. And let's be fair to Jean-Eric Vergne, he hasn't got any alliances in the championship, doesn't need to think about it. He can just put it all on the line, and if it doesn't work out, well, he's tried his best.
Yeah, it's going to be stick or twist, and he's definitely going to twist. He's going to go for it here, Jean-Eric Vergne. He's all out for himself. He wants to pick up the big points. If he can get a pole position, that would be good.
Absolutely. Well, Jake Hughes is going to be out in the quarter-finals. Looking forward to seeing what he is going to be able to do after sticking it on the front row of the grid. Let's head down to Radzi then, shall we? He's catching up with the team principal of this man here, Ian James, and see what his thoughts are.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined by team principal of Neon McLaren, Ian James. Ian, a different day, a very different complexion, actually. Brilliant qualifying for both drivers.
Yeah, fantastic to see both of them up there. I think, you know, with Sam, he knew what he had to do today, and I think that actually through FP3, even though that didn't look too sparkly, if you look at the sector times, they were pretty good. So putting it all together, as we knew he could in quali, has put us in this situation. So happy days.
My mind for Jake was cast back slightly to Shanghai. Things didn't happen as he would have liked in race 1. All of a sudden in race 2, things totally changed. You mentioned an interview to Saunders earlier on in free practice. Actually, we're possibly seeing Jake elevate himself up. This would really consolidate a good performance here.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll hope for. I think he was desperately unlucky yesterday. I think if we can put ourselves in a good position on the grid today, then it's all to play for. And it's lovely to have both drivers now in the duels. So we've got a few sessions to get through now to see exactly where they're going to start from, but looking forward to seeing that outcome.
And just one final quick question about Sam. Does his experience, is that what keeps him out of the drama and out of all the obstacles of yesterday? Because I almost thought he's got so many years, he's a Formula E legend. Actually, he just kept his gills clean almost.
He did a brilliant job yesterday. I mean, coming from where he started all the way through and running actually in P2 at one point. So I think he was kicking himself afterwards because I think he left something on the table there. But you learn from that, and it's that experience that's really brought him into that position. I think also the drivers who've been around for a little while know how to play themselves against the other drivers on the grid as well, and I think that's absolutely key.
Thanks for your time, Ian.
Thanks, Radzi. Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks to Ian, thanks to Radzi there. Good to catch up with Ian James, team principal for the Neon McLaren outfit. Good opportunity here for Hughes to capitalise. Bird also in the quarterfinals for the first time in a fairly long time, actually, as well. Hasn't won a duel for Sam Bird, actually, in 2024. So, good opportunity for, on the other side of the garage, for him to try and capitalise.
Yeah, he was the biggest mover in the race yesterday, Sam Bird. He made up a lot of places, picked up a strong result and some points for McLaren. It's been a little while since he's been in the points himself, so it was a nice bounce back for him. But it's good to see that the pace is there, because Jake Hughes has regularly got into the latter stages of qualifying with that car. It's good to see Sam replicate that, and 2 McLarens in the quarterfinals. They could be in with a shout today.
So up from 300 to 350 kilowatts of power for the dual stages. You're John Eric Verne here, Alan. You sat there in the cockpit. What on earth are you going to be discussing with your engineer? What can you do after those group stages in this short window between now and the duels?
You can make very small adjustments in your preparation, but you are going for, as you said, a different power level from 300 to 350, so it is quite a different scenario. So the reflection back will be to FP3, and just to try to build it through from there. In reality, it's done and dusted now. All that will be happening is waiting, as we see here, for Nick Cassidy, and his engineer will just be checking the monitors and to allow him to go out, and then it's up to the driver.
Well, let's see what Nick Cassidy is going to be able to do. A reminder of the team championship that you can see there. Jaguar TCS Racing with a comfortable cushion over Tag Heuer Porsche. That is James Barkley, team principal for Jaguar.
But it's a fight for third position in that team's battle that's going to be really interesting as well, with 3 teams within about 10-12 points.
Yeah, really close margins actually, isn't it, as well? As you say, DS Penske, Andretti separated by 10 points there as well, and also Nissan not too far adrift of proceedings. So, Cassidy and Verne come to the exit of pit lane. Just one flying lap to remind you here in the duels. Now, what we've seen in the group stages is drivers will go out, they'll do a build lap, so they'll put heat into the tyres, the brakes, get everything up to the right optimum temperature, and then they will go out for their push lap, and they might do 2 or 3 push laps. Here in the duels, you don't get the opportunity to do that. You go out, you do a build lap, you have 1 flying lap. So if you make a mistake, that is your opportunity done and dusted. And we saw mistakes in qualifying yesterday. That was generally the outlying factor which cost drivers the opportunity to progress forward from the quarters into the semis. So, quarterfinal 1, Nick Cassidy versus Jean-Eric Verne, Jaguar versus DS Penske. Our Formula E predictor, this is where you at home get the opportunity to vote. I think 75% will go the way of Nick Cassidy. Let's see what the Kiwi is going to be able to do as we wait for the green light to come on at the exit of pit lane. About 10 seconds or so to go, and then the drivers will head out onto the circuit for their one and only flying lap in this session. Cassidy ready to go then. aiming for pole position, aiming to get those 3 points, crucial at this stage in the championship. He's got a comfortable cushion of 24 points over his nearest rival of Pascal Wehrlein, but an extra 3 will certainly do him no harm at all.
Yeah, he'd love to open that gap up to over 1 race win worth of points. That would be a nice buffer for him with 3 races to go.
Verne heading out onto the circuit. Home race, of course, for the Penske part of the DS Penske outfit. And Jay Penske here this weekend, as we saw, wanting to put on a good show for their team. Podium for Jean-Eric Verne here yesterday, so he's got good form. We know that the qualifying position, as we say, is not necessarily going to be that relevant, but Verne doesn't have any ties in the championship to have to worry about. He can go out and stick it all on the line.
He can, yeah. That's going to be a key factor to remember as well. That Verne can just go for it, as we're finally... It took a long time now, didn't it? Around about 20-odd minutes. Again, it's usually supposed to be a 10-minute break. That was 20. What is going on with this? It's now nearly an hour since we started this broadcast. Now into the duels again. It's going to be another half an hour. It really is bizarre, but hey-ho. Suppose they've got it as the blossoms begin to fall over the racetrack. Away we go then. Here in Portland for the duels and the first quarter-final. Cassidy versus Verne. What's the deltas going to be? We're side by side with the picture-in-picture that everybody wants to see. Not this delayed rubbish. Live action on both to get a real sense of the time ourselves. Cassidy sliding around. First sector is a 26.711. Jean-Eric Verne is coming up as well now. He's going to take his first sector shortly. And it is going to be 3... Come on, 2. Where is it? Where's the line? Waiting for the sector line now. And he's 26.836. 17.731 for Cassidy. It's very close between these two. Cassidy's ahead by 1/10 of a second, but he's on a poor middle sector. That's allowed Verne to catch back up. It's a 17.1. Verne's 2/10 ahead. Up towards the line they come then for the first duel. And it's going to be Cassidy with a 109.016. Not that that's good enough. Here comes Jean-Eric Verne. He's going to have a much faster time. He's sliding coming through the last corner, but he's remained consistent across the entire lap. That's something that Cassidy hasn't done. Is the championship leader forced to start on the full throw of the grid? Yes! Verne, a 108.875. He goes fastest overall, and the first duel goes Verne's way. Wow.
Nick Cassidy there. As he went into the corner, he just missed the apex. That, as you said, lost his momentum down the straight. But at the same time, as well, Jean-Eric Verne nearly threw it away, actually, in the last corner. Got a big oversteer coming in. Here we are, falling again through the fast chicane, then braking into the last corner. That's not normally the way you want to feed the car in with a bit of oversteer, but he managed to grapple it up and still do the time.
Almost gave it a Scandinavian flip on the way into the last corner there. A little bit of a different approach from Jean-Eric Verne.
Here we go then for the next one. This is going to be the second duel. Jake Hughes and Robin Frijns in quarter-final 2 facing each other now. Predictor vote says 61% for Hughes, 39% for Robin Frijns. They've never faced each other in a duel before. Hughes is into the Shelton chicane now, the first corner on this track. Turning it in nice and tight together, getting back on the power, gently pushing that throttle down. It's looking okay to me. Side by side with the correct one again. Frijns on his lap time. Hughes' first delta's coming through then. And first sector is 26.830 for Jake Hughes. Frijns is going to be there shortly. Computer's still putting him up actually in the mini sectors. And 98 thousandths between them. It's a 26.732 for Robin Frijns in that middle sector. Interesting deltas. So Hughes' second sector is a 17.075. It's very tight between these two, 15 thousandths of a second, so it's not all over yet as they come back through. Hughes up towards the line. Middle sector for Frijns, a 17.185, so it's a thousandth of a moment between them across the line. Hughes does a 108.833. Robin Frijns is incredibly close to him now as he comes up towards the line. There's a thousandth of a second with it out of the last corner. They are so evenly matched. It's all going to be back down to how you position the car across the line. 14 thousandths of a second. Robin Friends takes it. 14 thousandths of a second. So far, again, everyone who goes out second is having the better luck. I've never seen that one before.
Final corner, he left nothing on the table in terms of track margin there.
Nice job, Robin. We are through. Go, push 300.
Well, Friends has reached the duels for consecutive races for the first time since the start of 2022, and he goes forwards into the semis. Quarterfinal 3, Nick de Vries versus Sam Bird. And 81% of you think it's going to go the way of the Neon McLaren driver. This is an unfamiliar duel lineup, actually, as well. Sam Bird has not won a duel in 2024, just to remind you as well. He's 3-0 down in the quarterfinal. He's got an opportunity, though, to right that here this afternoon.
And we know that Stitz likes Nick. He said, go Nick in the YouTube chat. He's going indeed. He's into turn one. He's out first. Gets a little bit wiggly through one. A little bit wide off the line. As we see Bird to start his lap time. I hope we go picture in picture, not side by side. That's going to be annoying if it's delayed from de Vries. It is delayed from de Vries, of course it is. Yeah, well done. That's what we all want to see, don't we? A stupid lap time graphic. Honestly, oh, just give me just 5 minutes with the TV directors and I'll have everything that the fans actually want to see out here. So first sector for de Vries is a 27.032. First sector for Bird is a 26.745. But the time it's taken Bird to get there, we now know de Vries' time. Second sector is a 17.159. Bird is ahead by 0.3 of a second at the moment. De Vries making crucial mistakes in these parts of the lap times. They're not even synced up. They're supposed to be side by side. They're not synced up. De Vries is catching 93 thousandths at the moment, so it's been a little bit of a difference across the lines. But it's looking fine to me. Don't tell me another England player has been booked. My God, how many more are going to get booked? Coming through then into the last corner. De Vries' lap time was a 1:09.330. Sam Bird is 93,000. No, it's 2.5 tenths clear. Bird gets this one by a country mile across the line. It's a 1:09.138. Sam Bird goes through. And so far, again, every driver who goes out second gets the overall time. Bird wins.
Final was not fast though. Those 2 lap times were the slowest 2 lap times we've seen from any of the other quarterfinals. So Sam Bird making it through, but maybe not in contention when it comes to his semi-final. It'll be tough.
There's Jeff Dodds cloning himself. He was in McLaren a minute ago. Now he's down at Mahindra. He's omnipresent.
Yeah, he's running down the pit lane there. And this is Sam coming through the chicane. Misses a little bit the line there. As he came through turn 11, and actually that was a sector where de Vries was a bit quicker.
You can see visibly that those lap times were not quite as fast as we saw a few moments ago. Anyway, on to quarterfinal 4, the 2 Tag Heuer Porsches. Pascal Wehrlein versus Antonio Felix da Costa. 61% say it'll go the way of Antonio Felix da Costa. However, a caveat to that, there's a championship to think about here. Are we going to see team orders between the 2 Tag Heuer Porsches? Will da Costa just lift off, let Wehrlein go through into the semi-finals and give him that opportunity to get those 3 points at this stage in the season?
Well, we're going to see right now as they're on their lap times. Is this going to be a team order situation? Don't forget, da Costa's won 2 of the last 3 races. And I don't know. This is going to be a bit on the nose now. First sector, Wehrlein is 27.0393, and da Costa's he's ahead by 2 tenths at the moment. So it looks like Wehrlein's backing off, giving da Costa a run here. Well, okay, Wehrlein's backed off because da Costa's first sector is a 26.706. So it looks like Wehrlein's the one who's eased off a little bit on this lap time. So we've got Wehrlein, then da Costa on the TV pictures. I want to highlight who's who actually because it's so bad. Yeah, da Costa's 4 tenths ahead now. 17.134 for Wehrlein middle sector, 17.162. Unless Wehrlein really made a mistake, it's not going to be as powerful as we thought. So, unless da Costa really backs off in the last sector, we're yet to see. Wehrlein's lap time across the board then. And the 2 Tag Heuer Porsche is going to go. It's a 1:09.123, not the best lap at all there. And da Costa should easily take this. He's 3.5 tenths ahead coming into the last corner. Down the start, finish straight, and it is a 1:08.750. So da Costa goes through with absolute ease. So it's Vern Friends in semi-final 1, Bird da Costa in semi-final number 2, and it's every driver who finished second, who went out second, got the top honours. Now, isn't that a little bit of a surprise? Back to the world.
The balance underneath him, spot on. I loved watching him there through 10 and 11. He almost makes the exit of 11 into the last corner one long corner.
Quickest dual lap.
Just really got a good feel with that Porsche car. The balance looks nice. A lot of long apex corners, and he just looks like he's got it settled underneath him, Alan, doesn't he?
Yeah, he can make the car dance underneath him, and he's got the control. It's not as if he's taking excessive risks to get the lap time. It's there underneath him and consistently, and that's, I think, a good thing for Antonio, but also for the team's point of view as well, because that'll put them in a good position for the ability in the race.
Well, a fourth consecutive dual appearance then for Antonio Felix da Costa, and he progresses into the semi-finals. He'll go head-to-head with Sam Bird there. Just a reminder of the Teams Championship that you can see at the bottom of your screen at the moment. Takoy Porsche, they want to get those 3 points, and if it's not going to go the way of Pascal Wehrlein, if they're putting all their eggs in the basket of Antonio Felix da Costa, well, given his form recently, you'd be hard to bet against him going for that pole position here today. There is Florian Modlinger on the right-hand side of your picture. Team principal for the Tag Heuer Porsche team. Be keen to see what da Costa will be able to do going head-to-head against Sam Bird. Let's have a look at the duels ladder once again then. So we had Cassidy versus Verne. Verne knocks out Cassidy, Freitz knocks out Hughes, Bird knocks out De Vries, and da Costa knocks out teammate Pascal Wehrlein. So the semi-finals looks like this. You've got DS Penske's Jean-Eric Verne versus Envision's Robin Freitz. Then you've got Sam Bird in the McLaren and Antonio Felix da Costa in the Tag Heuer Porsche. So 4 different powertrains going head-to-head against one another in these semis.
A real mixed-up order we've got ourselves here, isn't it?
TNT sports coverage of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship. Sponsored by Navuna Vehicle Solutions.
Have to get one of those in every now and then, otherwise they have a go at me. So, not so good in the England game. I decided to say thank you, by the way, to Stints, who says is going to be back later for the race, and thanks us for our content. Thank you. After today, that makes us feel very, very happy as well. So thank you very much for that one. In the England game at the moment, not going so well. 8 minutes to go, and it's England 0. Is it Slovakia? Slovenia in 1. So, not so good at the moment. We'll see if it goes to extra time or not. Either way, it looks like... I hope it does go extra time, actually. It means I get to watch the end of the match. But it is... just to update you on what's happening in the quarterfinals, if you're just joining us, ready for the semis, it's quarterfinal Duel A. It was Cassidy and Verne. Verne won. Duel B, Hughes, Freitz won. Duel C, De Vries, Bird won. Duel D, Wehrlein, da Costa won. Sensing a pattern here? Yeah, it's all up the order of Verne, Freitz, Bird, da Costa. They all went out second. So semi-final 1, Verne and Freitz. Semi-final 2, Bird, da Costa. So I'm expecting Freitz and da Costa to be in the final. But more than likely, it's going to be Verne and da Costa. Jack Pickering, who's our colleague here on Formula E, has just put quick poll. When is Southgate handing in his P45? He's already drafting it, sat in the office. Not the best England performance at the moment. So we're ready to go for the first semi-final, and that's going to be Verne versus Freitz. Reminder that we're going to have Ed Hunter with us in the commentary box later on for the Portland E-Prix. So it's all looking very exciting. I can't wait. It's going to be a load of fun. A lot of laughs is what everyone's been predicting as well. I'm looking forward to having a good race. We need it to be a good race. Need it to be a good one. Need it to be close. Need it to be action-packed. Sorry, England is are in the box, and I'm just wondering if they're going to score. No, they haven't. Of course they haven't. We had one, but it got disallowed. So, yeah. Sorry for it. Anyway, waiting around. Waiting to hand back over to JJ. Join Duras. And it's going to be now. So, we're getting ready for the quarterfinals in around about 5 minutes' time. So, we're going to get ready for that. It's going to be a very long broadcast, this. It was a long hold between the two sessions. Let's head back to the World Feed now.
So now our focus shifts over to the semi-finals. I see it's slightly cloudy overhead. It's a bit cooler out here, isn't it?
It's a little bit cooler than it was yesterday, but the suns were starting to peek out through the clouds, and when it did, it was building up quite quickly. When we had free practice, the 3 this morning at 7:30, the track temperature was down at 19 degrees, and so now quite considerably hotter, but not quite as hot as it was yesterday, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was about 27, 28 degrees in the air temperature. Track temperature was significantly higher. I had to actually change into shorts before we got into the start of the race because the temperature really caught me off guard. I'm glad I had to change of clothing.
That is rare for you, Tom. You love those jeans. They're glued to you.
Certainly do, mate. You're not wrong. Good to see so many fans here in Portland, in Oregon this weekend as well. Of course, next year for Formula E, we're back over to Miami, going to Homestead. I can't wait for a bit of Miami.
Yeah, it's great to be in the States. To be honest, they like the racing. This coast as well, they really like it. The circuit hosted a lot of different other championships, including the IndyCar Championship. So Jamie Chadwick will be actually racing on this track in the NXT Series very soon, coming up in a couple of weeks' time. And I'm sure she'll be attacking in the same way that she did when she won the last race out in Road America.
Let's have a look at Antonio Felix da Costa. This is the quickest lap from the quarterfinals of the Duels. Talk us through it, Bill.
Yeah, the first sector was somewhere where he really excelled, a 26.7. Let's have a look at his approach, because we've seen different ones. He opens up the apex of two, that left-hander. We've seen a lot of drivers run deep into that first chicane and compromise their exit. Antonio's not been doing that. Then we go into the long apex corners to end the first sector. Again, the car balance looks really nice through here. He's just threading the eye of the needle. He's not really having too much movement when it comes down to the steering. Just really controlled, measured driving for Antonio. A little kick of oversteer, which he did mention on the radio to his team, that a couple of corners there weren't the best. Then again, setting up the exit, again, a bit of oversteer on the exit onto this long straight. This was a sector where he wasn't particularly strong. The last sector of that lap, though, I really want to concentrate, as he comes out of 10 and 11, he does a slightly different line, and he almost makes the exit of this right-hander at 11, all one corner going into the last corner. He opens it up, uses the track nicely, keeps the rotation in the car, and then a clean exit using all the track. Nice driving from Antonio Felix da Costa.
Yep, it was definitely showing a lot of confidence in the car. Something that we didn't see at the beginning of the season. They didn't look to have that sort of fluidness with it, moving with the car. It was like one or other was dictating the reality, but now he's really got a confidence and he's able to push it, and he knows what the car's going to do. And he knows that if it does step out with that oversteer, he just hangs on to it.
It's interesting, actually, because I remember seeing da Costa in Diriyah, and he looked just completely despondent. He had no direction, no idea how to set up the car, and he knows he's a talented driver. You don't become a Formula E champion by luck. He won in Gen 3 as well. He won in Cape Town last year, but the wheels kind of came off the wagon there, right?
He's won in Gen 1 and he's won in Gen 2 as well as Gen 3, so it's not as if he doesn't know how to be successful in that respect, and he's got a lot of experience, and it sometimes just takes a little bit of time for it to click, and it's not necessarily just the driver, it's how the driver interacts with the engineers, and the engineers interact with the driver.
Semi-finals coming up then. Jonathan Verne versus Robin Freitz. So DS Penske versus Envision. Stellantis powertrain versus Jaguar. And then we've got Sam Bird in the Neil McLaren with the Nissan powertrain, and da Costa in the Tag Heuer Porsche, of course, with the Porsche powertrain. So this will be a very exciting session and very unpredictable, I am sure. And we're ready to get semi-final one underway then. Jonathan Verne, the Frenchman, versus Robin Freitz, the Dutchman. Quite a lot closer in terms of the predictor vote for this one. 59-41 in favour of the Frenchman at the moment.
Yeah, this one is hard to call. Robin Freitz, for me, has been the more consistent in qualifying trim across the weekend. We saw glimpses of that in practice. In the group qualifying earlier on, he was fastest. So if I was going to lean any direction, it would probably be for Robin Freitz.
Yeah, Freitz has reached the semi-finals in both Portland races actually this weekend. That's despite having only reached the semis once in the first 12 rounds of the 2024 season, and that was back in Diriyah in February, if you remember, in the night race.
But the actual season for both these drivers hasn't been as consistent as they have had in the past, and so therefore there's there is a little bit of recovery. We saw a great drive from Jean-Eric Verne yesterday. I have to say it was one of the most underrated drives, because he popped himself up onto the podium without necessarily anybody realising it. It was really, really nice the way he scythed through the grid.
Yeah, started 14th on the grid yesterday, came up to finish in second position, and now beginning his build lap to try and get his car up to the optimum working window. his way out of turn 7 and turn 8. Let's have a look at him here coming out of pit lane, just giving a little wave to the camera. Himself primed and ready. I remember when we were back in Diriyah, actually, he had his hands at the cockpit trying to cool himself down. Such was the temperatures of the late afternoon sunshine that we had there. Anyway, that was then, and this is now as we begin the flying lap for Jean-Eric Vergne as he rounds the final corner of turn 12 here in Portland and comes to the timing line to begin his flying lap.
Away we go then. What are we going to have in this session? Reminder, this is going to be the overall arching lap, so it needs to be quick. Semi-final one, as I said earlier, it's Vergne versus Freins. My money is on Vergne going through. I can't see Freins having the pace to do so. Hey, hi JT, coming through. Aren't England terrible in their game at the moment? Still 0-0. They've got, is it 6? It was 5. It's now 6 added minutes. It was 5. They've had an extra minute on. That's bizarre. Vergne looking okay. First sector time for Vergne is a 26.898. Freins is a 26.867. But the middle sector, Vergne is a 17.096 and Freins is a 17.313. So Vergne's got this one, hopefully with perfection. Vergne's lap time, I can tell you, is a 108.862. We're waiting on Robin Freins as well, as he'll come across the line shortly. He's down the main straight now. Is it good enough? I doubt it is. He's shot 2 tenths back. No, that's it. It's all done. It's all done. Jean-Eric Vergne goes through with a 108.862. Freins is a 109.081 across the board. That is a surprise.
DS Penske has done the business, 0.2 of a second ahead of Robin Freins and a spot in the finals to boot.
Yeah, it all fell apart for Robin Freins down at turn 7 there. He just got nowhere near the apex. It compromised his exit. Just over 2 tenths he lost from that moment.
Well, J Penske, home round for the DS Penske outfit here. Delight for him, disappointment on the other side for Sylvain Filippi. Let's have a look at this run through turns 10 and 11. What do you make of this, Alan? Car behaving as you reckon?
Well, it's more importantly if the car's behaving as Jean-Eric Vergne reckons. But yeah, it's nice, neat and tidy actually. Aggressive over the curb. It doesn't go too deep where the car's bouncing around. It was pretty sweet.
Second of the semi-finals then, Sam Bird versus Antonio Felix da Costa. And the favour there with the public very much in favour of Antonio Felix da Costa.
Really? I can't tell why. I really can't. Da Costa's on 2 of the last 3 races, and he won yesterday. So Da Costa's on it. He's on 3 of the last 5 with Cat Mazzano as well. So on the road, Da Costa has been very much a man on a mission to sign off his new contract. England look like they're going to be out in the last day in the quarterfinals. Here we're in the semi-finals, so at least we got. Hey, at least we got so far. Bird has got England to the semi-final. Yay! See what they can do. On board then, first sector time for Bird is a 26.837. Da Costa takes it. It's a 26.737. Bird 17.220. Oh, JT, I don't know if you know or not, but we Adorna, yeah. Yeah, for British Grand Prix, I know. Up to the line then, Bird's a 108.990. What are we going to see from Da Costa? Can he have any other gambit of time? Very tight to see what we're going to have here. Here comes Da Costa. He'll fire it through. He'll keep it calm. He'll keep it steady. But is it good enough? Up to the line. Yes! Yes! He's done it! 108.856. Da Costa goes through. And it will be Vergne Da Costa for the final. Just like I said it would be. Nicely done. Boys, over to you.
For the front row.
Yeah, Antonio there really made it count. The first and last sector where he's been strong all weekend. He was able to execute. Sam Bird, though, took the challenge towards Antonio Felix da Costa. A much stronger lap from him there. And where he's lining up on the grid, I think he can be really happy with that.
Absolutely, making his way through these sweeping corners.
Super oversteering. Yes, I saw that. Let's cool them down as much as possible. The only way we have now. Watch the delta.
So saying that the car was a bit oversteery, he was just overheating those tyres a little bit there.
I don't believe it! England scored! England scored! I don't believe it! With 1 minute to go, England scored! I don't believe it! Oh my goodness me! England scored in the last minute! I don't believe it! Bellingham! Oh my God, it goes to extra time! I don't believe it! England's dream is still alive! Wow!
Garage, all action stations and focusing again on the finals.
Okay, you through, baby. Yeah, come on. Fed away, buddy. Good work. Great job. Let's go to the final.
Very good to hear there for Antonio Felix da Costa. Absolutely delighted with that one. Very, very pleased for him and for Tag Heuer Porsche. As I said, Sam Bird will line up on that second row of the grid. Jean-Eric Vergne, a possibility to get himself in that fight for pole position. He has had a couple of poles so far this year, most recently at Shanghai a few weeks ago. Before that was back in Diriyah. Here is the duel ladder then, just to remind you exactly how we got here in the fight for the finals then. So quarterfinals, we saw Vergne knocking out Cassidy, Freitz knocking out Hughes, Bird knocking out De Vries, Da Costa knocking out Wehrlein. In the semis, Vergne got ahead of Freitz and Da Costa got ahead of Bird. And then into the finals, we will have Jean-Eric Vergne versus Antonio Felix da Costa. This is going to be hugely exciting to see what happens and who will take pole position for round 14.
I don't believe what I'm seeing here for England. They are last minute and they got a goal. Yes, that is spectacular. They're going to go extra time over there. We're going to have the final. We'll have a quick off so that I can go in, have some food and watch that as well. And wow. Also get everything ready for JT to cover the intro to NASCAR as well. So we've got to get an intro and a thumbnail and throw that up in the air. It shouldn't be too long as well. Jude Bellingham getting us a goal. Saving, maybe, our Euros. Well, that's brought them back in at the last second. Now they're going to be fired up. Final here for Formula E. It's going to be Vergne and Da Costa coming through as well. It's going to be a very entertaining next few moments. Bellingham is lifting up the crowd as the whistle blows in the final minute. Extra time for England. Will it be Vergne or Da Costa to take pole position here in the final? It's going to be coming up shortly, and it's going to be a very dramatic showdown as well. Can't wait to see what we've got coming up here. You don't want to go anywhere. It's going to be a lot of fun. A final, hopefully soon, because it's taken longer than we usually have to get these done. So, yeah, it's there or thereabouts. I must admit, nobody saw that coming. Twitter, by the way, is still very much divided on the whole Max Verstappen Lando Norris thing if you haven't seen it earlier on in the day. So I implore you to go and take a look there. Again, such an enigmatic action zone we've got coming up as well. I can't wait. It's going to be interesting, I'll tell you that. Certainly, our final is. So, we're getting ready then for the last one to go. And fingers crossed it's going to be a close final. But we're waiting. And waiting and waiting because it hasn't yet kicked off. It's always the way. You spent ages standing around waiting for it to happen and nothing at the moment, as Harry Benjamin's just put a photo on of him and Martin Brundle. As we get ready for the action to start off shortly. It's going to be an interesting session. Ready to hand back over to our world feed. And JJ is going to be happy with that one. I wonder if he'll mention it, of course. JJ was an England player. So I wonder if he's going to mention anything right now and say how good it is. So let's head back over to the world feed. Loudest cheer of the season, the F1 Media Centre, Philip Hawson. Yeah. Let's head back over and see what the world feed's saying.
So then, all eyes on the fight for the front row between Jean-Eric Vergne and Antonio Felix da Costa. What a wonderful weekend of racing we've had here so far in Portland. This is Jean-Eric Vergne versus Antonio Felix da Costa. And this is mock final. What we've done is we've compiled their 2 fastest laps from the dual stages of qualifying so far to see if we can pick any differences in lines here. Into turns 10 and 11. Bit of more oversteer there through 11 there for da Costa by the looks of things.
But also you could hear the car bouncing on the ground. I think that was Jean-Eric Vergne, because when he was in his semi-final with Robin Frins, I could hear it as well coming up there. So the front of the car is much lower for Jean-Eric Vergne than it is for Antonio Felix da Costa.
Yeah, nicely done for both of those 2 drivers. In terms of the semi-finals, it was a 108.862 for Vergne, a 108.856 for da Costa. I want to say that's a pretty tight margin, but as you said, Billy, in terms of how it's been in Formula E so far this weekend, that's a fortnight.
Yeah, I'm used to just 1,000th being the difference maker. It has been crazy this season, the gaps and how competitive this championship is. It can't be underrated.
Don't forget about the Formula E predictor as well. Scan the QR code, top left-hand corner of your screen. Tell us who you think is going to be progressing forwards to the front row, into pole position, I should say, for the final. Jean-Eric Vergne versus Antonio Felix da Costa. Da Costa getting ready to head out onto the track. And there is Jean-Eric Vergne. You can see his results over the last few weekends.
Interesting points in every single one of those races. He's just been consistent. He hasn't had those shining races where he's won. Yesterday, there was a really strong drive from the back of the field up to 3rd. It's just been a consistent season when he's got his points from.
Well, you can see the wildlife watching on. I'll be honest, I'm no Bill Oddie.
No, but we're Eagles there. That's where we are.
Well, very much looking forward to this. Fantastic helicam shots of this wonderful state of Oregon as well. And actually the most popular city in the state of Oregon is Portland. And what a fantastic city it is, just full of energy and vibrance and colour.
And plenty of energy, vibrance, colour at the circuit right now. Jean-Eric Vergne coming down the pit lane. He's definitely full of it himself.
What do you think, Alan, the 2 ex-teammates will be thinking going into this one? Will they want to be leaving a bit of a mark on each other and trying to get one up? Bragging rights in the paddock?
I think the bragging rights will be definitely there afterwards by one of them to the other. But right now, I think for da Costa, more than necessarily anything else, he's got a bit of a point to prove. Because Antonio had a very difficult start to the season. He's managed to win 3 races now, more than anyone else. And he also, I think, can sniff the fact he could maybe jump himself higher up in the end in the driver's title. If he can follow through today with a good result, then he puts himself in a great position for London.
So Jean-Eric Vergne versus Antonio Felix da Costa in the finals, and the Formula E predictor says it's 72% swinging with Antonio Felix da Costa. Given his form over the last half of this season, hard to bet against him.
Yeah, hard to bet against, but looking at the head-to-head there, it's actually 3-1 up to Jean-Eric Vergne, so maybe when he goes against his ex-teammate, that just brings the best out of him.
Yeah, very much looking forward to this one. So drivers now lined up at the end of pit lane. And exiting out on to the track. As I mentioned earlier on, Jean-Eric Vergne, 2 pole positions for him so far in 2024. No pole positions, though, for da Costa. 3rd on the grid is his best result over the course of this season, and that came back in Shanghai a few weeks ago.
Just another interesting little stat on this is that Antonio Felix da Costa's right behind Jean-Eric Vergne in the driver's title. They're separated by 7 points.
Well, this is da Costa's 2nd appearance in a final since joining Porsche. The other was in Sao Paulo in 2023. So a lot of pressure riding on the Portuguese driver's shoulders, but he's got the form and the confidence in order to be able to back it up. So 1 build lap then, and 1 flying lap to decide who will start on pole position here in Portland.
I must say one thing only. It's coming home. It's 2-1. England look dead in the water, and it's 2-1. Oh, my word. Are you ready for the final? It's time to decide who's on pole here in Portland, and is it going to be just as exciting? Yes, JT says how things have changed. What's it going to be? Will it be Vergne or da Costa? Who's going to be on pole? We start into turn 1. It's a good lap so far from Jean-Eric. He'll keep it balanced. Timing screen says 0.003 of a second at the moment as it comes through. Da Costa starts his lap time. I must admit, I really want to finish this out because I really want to go and watch the final. I was just in the room because I knew the final wouldn't start for a little bit. So I went in, I was just saying I didn't expect that to happen. All of a sudden, Kane heads into the back of the net. I was like, yes! So, we are waiting to run back in. First sector for Da Costa is a 26.814. For some reason, in an important final, we've gone side by side, despite that Vern is in the last corner now. So Vern's first sector, a 26.787. His second sector's a 17.079. Vern's final lap time across the line is a 108.779. That's your pole basis time. And Da Costa is in the middle sector. He's up. It's a 17.066. 25 thousandths of a second at the moment are separating them. And this is insane. 14 thousandths coming out of the last corner. It's going to be another close finish here in Formula E to decide who's got pole position. It's up to the line we go. Vern or Da Costa? It's the winner of the last 2 and 3 races. Da Costa's on pole again in Portland. It's a 1. No, it's Vern. Vern gets pole. The lap time got discounted. The timing screen was wrong. The timing screen said it was Da Costa, and it's changed to Vern. I don't believe it. It's Jean-Eric Vern who gets it. The timing tower got it wrong. Jean-Eric Vern is on pole position. And look, everyone at Porsche thought they were on pole, and then it changed in a nanosecond across the line to show Vern's name. Vern on pole by 25 thousandths of a second. Wow! That is fantastic. Let's hear from our pole sitter.
Margin.
Okay, baby, most pole of Formula E.
Yes!
Come on! Yes! Chev, great job, man. Most poles in Formula E, buddy. Fantastic work, buddy. Fantastic work.
A 17th career pole.
That was a good luck.
And it gives Jean-Eric Vern the record for the most ever career poles in Formula E. Wow! Well, we'll be back for all our race coverage as well at 9:15 British summertime for all the action. We're all off to watch England. I'll see you soon. Take care. Vern's on pole. Da Costa second. We'll be back later for the action. NASCAR starting in an hour 20. Bye-bye.